Let's go.
Hello, we are going back to basics and we are learning from scratch, from the very beginning, how to lay and learn our Kipper cards, the best techniques to use to read in the Bavarian way, which I read and teach in, and obviously is contained in my lovely book. Our Rich Gent then, number 13, Rich Gent. He is brother or sister to the rich girl. He can also be boyfriend to the rich girl. He can be your best mate. He can be a bachelor. He can be a colleague at work who is striving to do their best. He is idealism, Mr. Right sometimes. He is also a financial guy. He gets his financial hat on when he's not a person, and he does talk about the state of the querent's finances. Sad news. Sad news, as we see, is a sad card. It's a grief card. Doesn't always mean that negative news is going to be on your lap immediately. You have to look for the cause of the sad news and what the sad news is affecting. The sad news can also be a feeling of grief. We see our widow sat at the window in the original deck. She's obviously received some sad news and is consoling herself. It's that feeling of sad news, the feeling of grief. Good outcome, super shiny. We have two doves in the original and a dog in the original deck, the lovebirds, and also the friendship in the loyal dog. The good outcome card is a card of love. It is a card of warmth, a card of friendliness. It is also getting a good outcome. So if you are wanting to know what the outcome of something will be and good outcome comes, you know everything's going to be okay. His thoughts, lovely card, love this card. His thoughts is originally, deep down at its roots, his thought is romance. Think of the times in which the Kipper cards came to life. We're talking about a time in the 19th century when you weren't allowed or socially accepted to share your feelings with the world. You weren't supposed to have flirting out there, if you like, and it was very important in those days to people how their suitor or how their crush was thinking about them. So they would use the His Thoughts card to see what his thoughts are. It doesn't necessarily have to pertain to a gentleman. It can also be her thoughts, obviously. And the interesting thing with this card is it is a stock card, but the Cupid in the corner of the card actually, in the diagonal card, shows you where his thoughts are. So the querent can find out if his thoughts are of a beautiful, shiny, romantic nature, or if they're going somewhere else. If short illness was up here in the corner, we could be looking at a more sexual thoughts than actually dirty thoughts, than romantic thoughts. When he is not romance, he is, because obviously if you're doing a work read, a health read, etc., you will not be having romance coming into the spread because it's a specific question, a specific theme. You will be looking more at plans and a careful thought process of plans. Again, you can look to where the thought process is going, where the plans are going. I often think of like the architectural nature when I think of his thoughts, because they are very precise in the way they plan forward, and that's a very planning precise card. A gift, number 17, a gift. We see our child in this one presenting a fishbowl. In my, we have her receiving a lovely bouquet, obviously smiling on her face. Our gift card, or receive a gift, is all about it is receiving a gift, of course, but it's also a surprise, or the wow, didn't expect that. It's more a surprise gift than it is just, oh great, he's bringing me a bunch of flowers when I already know about it. No, actually this is something that's coming your way that you don't know about, and it's positive. Directional as well. Child. Number 18, child is a child in the querent's life, quite simply. When they're not a child, it can show playfulness. It depends on where they're sitting in the spread, obviously. Child is playful. Think about toddlers running around. Look, we're on a toy here. He's got his little teddy behind him on my deck. And it's a generally playfulness and a newness to life. Can be a new project in a work situation. Could be just simply something birthing, something new coming along. Fatality. Some say it's not a surprise that Fatality falls so close to infant in the original deck, as the rate of infantile death was high in the 19th century. I obviously can't comment on that, but the Fatality card is one that tells us all about endings. The Fatality is the act or the state of something happening. So we are seeing an ending. The good thing about this card is that it's highly directional. So we get to see exactly what is ending. The card that falls in the directional, where the coffin is pointing, is the item that is ending. There's something that is ending. The directions also, we have transformations that we can see. We can see the cause of the end, we can see the end of the end, and what is affected by the end. So we get a lot of information out of the Fatality card, and when we do pull a spread, which are all in here, we do pull a stock card spread and Fatality comes out. There is a lot of placements we can use to actually really dig out what that end is. A lot of people tend to talk about transformations or new beginnings. Think about this. For a new beginning, something needs to end. So you have to go through that grieving. You have to go through the sad news, if you like. You have to go through the process of fatality to get out the other side. So don't downplay this as a new beginning. This is an end, and it's something that the querent needs to actually physically go through the death of something, the end of something, a situation. And like I say, you can find out what that is down here. And the directional cards all the way around explain if there is something that's transforming, if there is a cause of that, if there is an end, an effect to that end, and what is affected the most, or what reaps the most of the Fatality card. Again, it's all in there and in my courses if you need more information. House always reminds me of my sister. House is where you're from, where your roots are, the deep belonging somewhere. House can also be a building, obviously, and the difference between house And then living room is, the living room is the inside of the house. The living room is the internal, the cozy atmosphere inside the house. Living room is also internalizing situations as well. So it's anything that's internal. It can be quite practical, and in an office building, it could be your actual office. In the office building, it could be actually your cubicle. So it's an internal part of the external building. 22, our lovely military person. He's a stop card. He is quite interesting at times because he does block us from where we want to go sometimes. He stands there quite rigid in his warm and lovely environment. He still stands there in full military attire, and he stands for his rights. He can be combative. He can be, like I say, he can block the querent from getting any further. He can also be a brother, an uncle, or anybody as colleague, for example. But when he's not a person, he is a conflict at times. He stands there, he stands up for what he believes in, and he doesn't budge from that spot. Court, justice, the justice system, anything to do with getting what's deserved. If it's in an auspicious placement, we do see justice being served in a positive way. If we have it in a inauspicious placement behind the querent's back, then we are looking at difficult justice, or justice that's served against our querent. It's a really good idea if you are going through any kind of dispute. You can simply see whether the court card falls behind or in front to know how difficult it's going to be and what the final decision is going to be. You also need to see the cards around. Theft. Theft steals from here and affects the next card. Again with mine, steals from here and affects the next card. Theft is a loss, something that's taken on purpose. It is, while dishonesty, dishonesty and theft are sometimes read as the same things, but dishonesty is dishonest and theft is a loss, something that's taken, something that's gone.